Give it up to everybody in this room. First 7th seed in the history of the NFL to win a playoff game.
Touchdown, Green Bay on the opening drive.
How about Aaron Jones with 3 tugs today?
Touchdown. The third today for Aaron Jones.
Whoever this Romeo Dobbs guy was.
Love zips it in there. It's called for the touchdown, Romeo Dobbs.
John Money setting it off with a pick.
This guy fires for Brooks, and it's intercepted. Jair Alexander.
Sam with a pick 6.
Here's Prescott. The middle, it's going to be picked off, and no one in front of him. Darnell Savage.
Musgrave stayed on his feet.
It's going to be caught by Musgrave. Racing towards the end zone. He is in. Touchdown, Green Bay.
On a personal basis, I'm full, not that there's any world's smallest violin for me.
This guy finished with the highest QB rating in Packer history at 157.
And the route is on in Dallas. Wow.
How about them Cowboys? Packers are moving on after a whooping, an ass kicking, an absolute stomping of the number 2 seed in the NFC, the Dallas Cowboys. 48-32 the final yesterday. We did this last week. We're going to do it again today. No guest today. I just need the floor to spew my irrational opinions, to go full-blown delusional mode. I need all the time in the world I can get. Jam-packed show for you today. I'm really excited. Well, I'll tell you what's coming up in just a second. But first, it's Mr. Relevant. I'm Alex Strouf with you every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Good to be with you on this MLK Day. Ryan Wollersheim is with me today producing the program. Now, look, Hunter Vaughn, producer Tiny Hands, who's usually with us, does a terrific job producing the show. And I love when he's producing the show. Nothing against Ryan. Ryan does a great job producing Rutledge and Hamilton.
I see how it is.
No, well, I'll get to my point here. Ryan, there's nobody else I'd rather have producing the show today than you. Because Hunter would be grumpy.
Yeah.
He'd be cranky as a Cowboys fan. He'd take all of his anger out, probably not even passively, right? Like I was going to say passive-aggressive. I don't even think he'd be passive.
No,
I think he'd just be
aggressive.
straight up aggressive. Yeah. So I'm good without him today. I'm excited for his return on Wednesday. We will, though, however, hear from Hunter Vaughn later in the show. I had him record a video. I have not watched it yet. I know how long it is. It was 2 minutes and 42 seconds long. So it was long. So we're gonna watch that later together for the first time. Ryan, have you watched that in full yet or not yet?
I have not watched it yet. I am going to experience it along with you and the rest of the fans.
Okay, so when we play that, which will be probably in about 20 minutes, we are going to just take it like one sentence at a time. We're going to pause it, like we're going to break it down as we go throughout. Not every sentence, really.
The all 22 of Hunter Vaughn.
Yeah,
all right.
we're going to break
it.
this thing down. So I'm looking forward to that. But first things first, what the hell did we watch yesterday? Seriously. It's been almost 24 hours, and I still have no idea what I watched the Green Bay Packers do yesterday against the Dallas Cowboys. I'm in complete shock and complete awe. I never expected that. I told you on Friday, I think the Packers would find a way to win. I just didn't think that would be the way they won. It was 48-16 at one point, if I'm not mistaken. 48-16, I think it was.
It was 48-16 midway through the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it was a complete deconstruction of a team that had won their last 16 games at home, the Dallas Cowboys. They were 16-0 in their last 16 home games. That was a team that averaged 38 points a game this year at AT&T Stadium. And the Packers made them look like children. It looked like the Green Bay Packers were playing a junior varsity high school football team yesterday. And they were playing one of the best teams in the NFL, bar none. I think going into this week, a lot of people viewed the Dallas Cowboys as a top 5 team in the league. Now they're out before the final 8 teams remain. 10 as it stands as we record, but obviously 2 games being played, one this afternoon, one tonight. And we'll be down to 8 teams. And Dallas won't be part of that. Green Bay will. And that right there is a story in and of itself. But that's not the full story. The full story was you watched Jordan Love become a superstar again on a national stage. 3 touchdowns. I actually am with people that are upset that he didn't end up getting the perfect passer rating. Because Sean Clifford went into the game. Dallas pulled it within 16, so Matt LaFleur trotted the starters back out. He threw an incomplete pass to Tucker Kraft. Tucker Kraft dropped the pass, really, and it dropped Jordan Love's quarterback rating from a perfect 158.3 down to 157.2. And why that number bugs me, 157.2, is because it is the exact same number that C.J. Stroud put up on Saturday night. Not only that, C.J. Stroud's stat line. Like, let's compare C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, two of the young up-and-comers in this league who are I'm so glad both of them are moving on to the second round of the playoffs. So, Jordan Love's stat line on Sunday against Dallas. I'm already off on a tangent. Like, Ryan, we knew this was going to happen. I didn't even mean to bring up C.J. Stroud 5 minutes into the show, but here we are. Jordan Love yesterday, 16 of 21, 272 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 157.2. Ryan, C.J. Stroud on Saturday, 16 of 21, 274 yards. That's 2 more yards than Jordan Love. 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. 157.2 quarterback rating. Literally identical. C.J. Stroud and Jordan Love, the 2 guys that said, hello, we've arrived this weekend in Wild Card Weekend. Phenomenal. Phenomenal stuff. So Jordan Love, I think us as Packers fans knew he was a superstar ahead of this game. But to come out and do what he did in his first ever playoff game is not only ridiculously unheard of, it just furthers the narrative that the Green Bay Packers don't miss at quarterback. They don't miss. Like, yeah, it's a lot of pressure when you move on from Brett Favre to go to a guy you drafted 3 years ago and sat and just assume he'll be great. And he was better than Brett Favre. And you do that for 15 years, Aaron Rodgers. Stick with him for 15 years. You move off of him this offseason. For a guy you drafted in the first round that was heavily criticized, that sat behind him for 3 years. And all of us thought, no chance they hit again. No chance. Like, they might have a guy, but there's no way they have the guy. And then in his first ever playoff game, I'm calling it a perfect passer rating. Jordan Love threw for a perfect passer rating in his first playoff game. That is absurd. So, yeah, to go from Hall of Famer to Hall of Famer to a big stinking question mark, which I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but if he does this for 10 more years, he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, and I know that's obviously saying a lot, right? Like, I can't just expect somebody to be great for 10 years. But for year one, what Jordan Love has been able to do for the Green Bay Packers is ridiculous.
Felt like Green Bay to me.
The turnaround, yeah, it feels like Green Bay. Of course it feels like Green Bay. They only know how to draft well, not necessarily draft. They just know how to pick great quarterbacks. Just what they do. And Jordan Love proved that better than Favre did in his first playoff game and better than Rodgers did in his first playoff game. Jordan Love hasn't thrown an interception in 9 weeks. Or maybe he's thrown 1 in 9 weeks, I guess. 9 in 1 week, in 9 weeks. That's crazy. That's crazy. It is legitimately insane. It is impossible for me to comprehend the level at which Jordan Love has taken this Green Bay Packers team, considering what we always point back to is that stretch in October where they lose 4 in a row, and they look like debatably the worst team in the NFL, not named the Carolina Panthers. I sat in this chair on this program 3 months ago, and I was telling you about the mock drafts I was already looking at. And fast forward 3 months. This team goes 8-3 in their last 11 games. Jordan Love turns into legitimately is playing as a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. And they're on to the divisional round. Like, the day before Halloween, I'm looking at mock drafts, and now MLK Day, I'm talking about a divisional game the Packers are going to be playing next week. It feels like we're in this like bizarro world dream. I walked into the office today and I said to Wooly, I'm prepared to wake up, understand the Packers lost to the Cowboys, and still think it was a great season and a great story. This isn't a dream. This is reality. The Green Bay Packers have somehow, in the matter of 3 months, evolved from one of the worst teams in the NFL to one of the best teams in the NFL, to the hottest team in the NFL, to the most dangerous team in the NFC. It's impossible for me to wrap my head around what we have witnessed over the course of the last 13, 14 weeks. It is completely impossible. But yet here we are. Matt LaFleur deserves a ton of credit. Brian Gutekunst deserves a ton of credit. Jordan Love deserves a ton of credit. And I keep using the word superstar to describe Jordan Love because that is a fact now. Jordan Love is a superstar in the NFL. He proved it again yesterday. And I said this last week after the Bears game. I'm ready to do it again for like the 18th time this season. Yesterday was Jordan Love's best game in the NFL. He did it again. I don't know how he continues to top himself. Great performance after great performance after great performance. But what we've learned with quarterback play in the NFL is if you can consistently stack success, you're a long-term guy. Jordan Love, after a 4-game stretch in October where this team was doo-doo, like they were horrible, has continued to stack success. He's gotten better and better and better and better and better. Every week, I'm coming on here and saying he just played his best game as a Green Bay Packer. And he did it again yesterday. And I don't understand how. Because I thought the performance against the Bears was unbelievable. I thought the performance against the Vikings 2 weeks ago was unbelievable. And he topped it again. Again. It's crazy. He is so damn poised. He is so freaking fun. He's got a little bit of Favre and a little bit of Rodgers in him. In terms of Rodgers, he doesn't turn the ball over anymore. He just doesn't know how to turn the ball over. And he's got like this, what Favre and Rodgers both were good at, but Rodgers, I would argue, is better, was the improvisation to amazing throw. Both of them did it at a really high level. But the fact that Jordan Love sacked 0 times yesterday against a really good Cowboys defense, can elude pressure and make incredible throws downfield that he was missing in the preseason, that he was missing in September and October. He's doing it at like a Mahomes-esque level now. The touchdown pass to Dontavian Wicks specifically yesterday. And Ryan, I know you and I were talking about this off the air. But the touchdown pass to Dontavian Wicks, where he eludes pressure, he kicks up the back foot, fires downfield, and just strikes. And it was an incredible throw. The dude, the dude just doesn't miss. And that's the part that is so hard for me to comprehend because he was not playing well 3 months ago. Like, he was bad.
Oh.
We were like, he might be able to figure it out.
Missing wide open receivers consistently.
And now he's posting perfect passer ratings in the playoffs on the road.
And with pressure in his face, too. Like you mentioned Mahomes, I mean, he was making these throws downfield like the one to Romeo Doubs when I think Micah Parsons is about to lunge at him like Superman, punch him in the air. And then he just makes Romeo Doubs is wide open, but I mean, he puts it right on him. It's perfect. It was money every time this game, all 21 of his passes.
Yeah, all 21 of them. And by the way, did you read how many Dak Prescott threw? I didn't realize this until I opened the box.
How many passes? Yeah. If I had to guess, I would say 50.
Add 10.
60?
He went 41 of 60 yesterday.
I mean, they were trying to dig out of a hole the entire game. That's how it happens.
They were down 27-7 at halftime. Right? I mean, like it was never.
They were
close.
down 27-0 with 2 minutes left in the first half.
You're absolutely right. That's right. Jake Ferguson, his first of 3 touchdowns at the end of the half there. But the Jordan Love part of it is bananas. Of course, it's absurd. It's crazy. It's so much fun. But that's not even the main story to me anymore. Because we've known for weeks now that Jordan Love's it. And he's a dude, and he has the abilities. And it's fun to see him, as I mentioned, stack success and continue to add on to the resume that's already really impressive for a first-year starter. But that is not the most important part about Jordan Love anymore. The most important part about Jordan Love and this Packers team is the fact that Jordan Love has elevated everybody around him. Like I said, he's not the only superstar because he's not. Remember a guy by the name of Jaden Reed who I am infatuated with and I've drooled over since the Packers drafted him in the NFL draft? He didn't do anything yesterday. He did nothing. And that's fine because you've got other dudes that are capable of popping off on any given moment. 6 catches, 151 yards, and a touchdown for Romeo Doubs, who's kind of had an up-and-down season. He's been like the old reliable for Jordan Love, and he's been the consistent receiver, I would argue, this year. But it hasn't been this good. 6 catches, 151 and a touchdown. How about Luke Musgrave? He's only his second game back from a lacerated kidney. He had a touchdown. That wide open touchdown where he had to stop, which kind of an underthrown ball, but we'll let that one pass. It was still a touchdown. 3 catches, 52 yards, a touchdown. I mentioned the pass to Dontavian Wicks, the 20-yard touchdown. I mean, it is absurd, the level of talent around Jordan Love, but talent doesn't always mean anything in the NFL, right? You could be the most talented dude in the world, and it just sometimes doesn't pan out. Football is the ultimate team sport, and when it comes to individual success, obviously the quarterback position, more important than any other position in sports, all sports. And what Jordan Love has been able to do in his first year as a starter with a bunch of rookies and second-year guys around him who are inexperienced, don't know any better, and are so raw and fresh to the league. Jordan Love has made like multiple superstars. Bo Melton, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Romeo Doubs, Luke Musgrave, Tucker Kraft. Oh, by the way, I haven't even mentioned Christian Watson yet. Right? Like, it is absurd the level at which Jordan Love has elevated his teammates. And that is such an important part. Again, though, like, offensively was great, right? Aaron Jones had 3 touchdowns. Jordan Love threw 3 touchdowns. I don't even think that's the story. The story is the Packers' defense. I compared Joe Barry, the defensive coordinator, who's been under a ton of pressure this year, and we thought it was a foregone conclusion. That guy's losing his job after the Carolina win. When they allowed Carolina to score 30 points, it was the last points they scored in the league this year. They got shut out in their final 2 games. I thought it was a foregone conclusion he's gone. But like James Bond, when his back is against the wall, the bro pulls out all the tricks, all the stops, and he makes it absolutely flawless. And Joe Barry, for the second year in a row, has come through, and it's mattered most. That defense was really, really good yesterday. Really good. Jair Alexander proved his worth, and I hope he's all right after leaving with an ankle injury, the same ankle he hurt earlier in the week, but he walked off under his own power. It looked like he'll be okay. But the interception he made early in that game, tell me one other guy on the Packers team that can make that play. I'm not naming one other person. Jair Alexander proved his worth as one of the best cornerbacks in the game. Darnell Savage, pick 6. I mean, it is what it is. It was cool. It was awesome, obviously. A defensive touchdown. And I made the joke last week, which I'm proud of. If the Packers are going to pull off a run, they need defensive touchdowns like they did in 2010, 2011 calendar year. They scored a defensive touchdown in the divisional round, the championship game, and the Super Bowl, and then won the Super Bowl. You need your defense to come through. And to cause those 2 interceptions off Dak Prescott early in the game, including one that went for a score, ultimately dictated what this game became. Ryan just mentioned it. Dallas is playing from behind. Dak has to throw the ball 60 times. It was never close. It was never close. I thought they would win. I just didn't think we'd see what we saw yesterday. And that is the part to me that is so crazy. And I'm so thrilled about it. And it gives me this irrational confidence now that the Packers can go on the road to San Francisco and win next week. Because they are just dangerous, and they're peaking at the right time, and that's so important in sports. Now, San Francisco is better than Dallas on both sides of the football, I would argue. Defense, we could have a debate, but you just dropped 38 on the Dallas defense. I would hope San Francisco is better than that, or 48, excuse me. Look, I don't think the Packers win this weekend. I'm not going to drag us down. It's Victory Monday. I think San Francisco's the second best team in football, but it's proven they can be beaten, and they can be beaten bad. And I'm not comparing the Packers to the Baltimore Ravens, who I do think is the best team in football. But we saw it on Christmas Day. Baltimore completely ripped San Francisco to shreds. So there is proof in the pudding within the last month that it is doable to not only beat them but dominate them. And again, if the Packers find a way to win on Sunday, which I think they absolutely can after what I saw yesterday, I don't think it's in a beat-down fashion like we saw against Dallas yesterday. But man, oh man, the Green Bay Packers are phenomenal. It's just incomprehensible, the turnaround. I just can't get over how we got from October to January. It just makes absolutely zero sense. It's so exciting. Okay, anyway, other things. Joe Barry, can he save his job? The answer is yes. They win this weekend, I think Joe Barry's safe. And to be straight up with you, sure, sign me up.
If I land on the moon, I'm an astronaut too. I mean, I'm just saying, like, we're saying like he saved his job. Like, he still has to go out and do it at this point. Stopping San Francisco's offense is a whole other beast.
Okay, but let me run you this past you then. Packers lose on Saturday night. They lose 21-17.
In that scenario,
it's hard to let them go.
It's hard, especially after the way they performed against Dallas. But you have to take the whole.
And I understand it's Jaron Hall, but they killed Minnesota.
Yeah, that's Jaron Hall.
And I understand it's Justin Fields, but they killed Chicago.
You have to take the whole body of work of the season, though, I think. You have to look at the whole thing collectively.
So I agree. I tend to agree. But I just don't think that's how you can do it, right? Because they should have done that last year then. That's the argument you have to make.
You're right.
Because those last 5 games, that team was phenomenal. They didn't allow anybody to score more than 20 points against them in the last 5 games, despite losing the final game of the season. This year, though, it was the same thing. Joe Barry getting criticized, Christmas Eve, Carolina, 30 points, yucky, right? Worst team in the league. Then you respond by allowing a garbage time touchdown and some field goals to Minnesota, allowing a couple of field goals to Chicago, and in reality, maybe 16 points to Dallas?
Yeah, 16.
We were put on the defense?
Real points.
I'm not allowing those 16 in the fourth quarter to count. I mean, this game was 48-16.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a complete whooping. So I don't know. If Joe Barry's defense can play the way it's played the last 3 weeks consistently, which is a huge, huge, huge if, I'm fine with bringing him back. I think it's unlikely still, but if they win on Saturday, I think it's incredibly likely. Because all of a sudden you've catapulted yourself to a top 4 team in the league, an NFC championship game when it wasn't expected, and your defense is a big part of it. So I would say if they beat San Francisco on Saturday, no matter how many points they allow, I think he's probably getting an extension. His contract expires, which is always the weird optics part of this too, because he's then extended if he's brought back. And it's not just like, hey, he's back. It's like, hey, you have to draw up a new deal for this guy. So anyway, we'll dive into Joe Barry more later in the week. Just wanted to touch on that briefly. I haven't even mentioned Aaron Jones yet, other than the fact that he has 3 touchdowns. Aaron Jones owns the Dallas Cowboys. Aaron Jones absolutely owns the Dallas Cowboys. Green Bay Packers have never lost at AT&T Stadium. Aaron Jones has never lost to the Cowboys in his career. And he is absolutely at his best when he plays the Dallas Cowboys. I got a lot of crap for my stat yesterday, which I'm about to throw out. When Aaron Jones touches or has 20 or more carries, which he got at the very end of the game yesterday, he had 19 when he was pulled. They put him back in, gave him 2 carries. So he went 21 for 118 and 3 touchdowns. When Aaron Jones carries the ball at least 20 times in his career, Packers are now 10-1.
Take that for data.
And I understand that if Aaron Jones is carrying the ball 20 times, that usually means you're playing with a lead. But also, I think Aaron Jones is a huge reason you get leads in football games. I think he proved that again yesterday. That's 4 games in a row, 100 yards carry, or 100 yards rushing for Aaron Jones. 4 games in a row, longest streak of his career. Yesterday, the other part of yesterday too. I have so many things, and Ryan, you can attest to this. I tried to write notes before the show.
Oh yeah,
just so like they would come out in a uniform fashion. Out the window. That didn't work.
You need a book for that game, of just notes and stats. I mean,
well, one thing that stuck out to me is the fact that yesterday was really the first time since not even week 1. Yesterday was the first time that Jordan Love had his full cast of characters with him on offense. Aaron Jones was healthy. Christian Watson was healthy. Luke Musgrave was healthy. Then you add Tucker Kraft, Dontavian Wicks, Jaden Reed, Bo Melton, etc. It was the first time we've seen him with everybody yesterday.
Bo Melton wasn't even on the team earlier in the season, remember? I mean, he wasn't even a factor.
No, not at all. Not until the Vikings game in Week 17. And the last 3 weeks, he's been solid. I mean, he only had 1 catch yesterday. But it's still good to see him out there. He's making plays. He was targeted twice. Whatever. If Bo Melton gets 2 targets a game, I'm as happy as a clam. That's a phrase, right?
Happy as a clam? It certainly is, yeah.
I don't know what that means. I'm allergic to clams, but that's beside the point.
Okay.
So to have the full cast of characters offensively, to have the defense humming the way it has been, to have Jordan Love prove he's a superstar in the league, what's stopping you from going and winning in San Francisco? What's stopping you from going and winning an NFC Championship game? What's stopping you from going to the Super Bowl? They are the first number 7 seed in NFL history, and I know it's only been a few years, but they are the first one to do it, to win a playoff game. And it just, and I will talk more about this later. That's a tease. But there are so many things about this team that remind me of the 2010 Super Bowl champion team. Young quarterback, fun offense. The defense is not nearly as good as that 2010 team. But there are a lot of things, especially in the game I saw yesterday, that made me go, holy crap. This feels like that 2010 run. You go on the road, house money, got nothing to lose. You got a bunch of young dudes who don't know any better, that are just slinging it and having fun, scoring points, creating turnovers. Like yesterday's playoff game felt like Atlanta in the divisional round in 2010. When, by the way, the Packers scored 48 points. Those are the only 2 times they've ever done that in the postseason. 48 points in both of those games. I'm just saying. And we're past the point now of saying, hey, I think there's a chance, or hey, this could be it, or hey, this has been fun even if they get their asses kicked on Saturday. We're past that. This team's in it. There's 8 teams left next week. They win, there's 4 teams left. They are in it. They're here now. They're going on the road, hot as can be, debatably the hottest team in football, with a superstar quarterback who's taking the league by storm right now, and it is so cool to see it on a national stage multiple weeks in a row now. This is here, right? Like we talked about how this was a year of no expectations, and this was a year of just trying to figure out the big questions. Joe Barry and Jordan Love, you got your answers, man, and you're in the divisional round of the playoffs. We didn't expect to be here, but you're here. So screw next year. Screw 2025 when these guys are in their 2nd and 3rd and 4th years. None of that matters. You're here now. Your opportunity's in front of you. You're going to go cross the Golden Gate Bridge, head over to their stadium in the San Francisco Bay Area, and you're going to have a crack at the San Francisco 49ers. Would you rather have Jordan Love or Brock Purdy, Ryan?
If you're asking me as a Packers fan, admittedly very, very biased, Jordan Love makes some throws that I feel like I have not seen Brock Purdy make.
I think it's Jordan Love, and I don't think it's close.
I wouldn't say it's not close, but I think comfortably I feel good with taking Jordan Love.
Jordan Love or Jared Goff?
Jordan Love. Jared Goff can't make the improvisational throws that Jordan Love does.
Baker Mayfield?
Baker this year, pretty hard to argue that he's been really good, but I think you're talking right now or like going forward?
Right now.
Just this tomorrow?
And tomorrow and going forward.
Tomorrow and going forward?
It's got to be Love.
It's got to be.
And last one, which I think is the toughest, Jalen Hurts. Those are the quarterbacks left in the NFC.
Jalen's taking a big hit this year.
Yes. Right now, are you taking Jordan Love?
That one's TBD. That's still too TBD for me.
I'm just going to go to what you just said. Jalen's taking some hits this year. He has not been the Jalen Hurts we saw in the Super Bowl last year. As it stands right now, I think Jordan Love is the best quarterback remaining in the NFC. I would have made the case for Dak prior to yesterday. I ain't making the case for Dak because he's on the couch with Big Mike. Jordan Love is the best quarterback left in the NFC playoffs. How sweet is that? How sweet is that? We are absolutely freaking spoiled as Green Bay Packers fans, and it is awesome.
Felt like Green Bay to me.
We'll get more into San Francisco on Wednesday. All right, let's do it, Ryan. Tiny Hands, producer Tiny Hands, Hunter Vaughn is a Cowboys fan. We know this. We love him. We love him for it. He recorded a 2-minute and 42-second video for us. We're going to take a gander at it. We're going to watch it together. These are Hunter's takeaways from the game. But before we do that, Ryan, I would like to read you the text exchange I had with Hunter yesterday.
Oh, I can't wait.
So I did not text him at all because I knew he would be upset, rightfully so. If the Packers were getting smoked, I hope he wouldn't text me. I I got a text yesterday at 4:31. This is when this game was 20-0, I believe. I believe it was 20-0 at this point. Maybe 27-0. He said, quote, I told you exactly how this game would go, and you called me a doomsday fan. It's almost like I actually know what I'm talking about. And I just said, haha, two things can be true, man. And he said that this game is going how I said that it would, and that I know what I'm talking about. Yes, they can. So Hunter, not very happy with the Dallas Cowboys. He is off today. It's a federal holiday. A lot of our teammates have the day off today. He's over at the Marquette game. I really hope Marquette wins for his sake, man.
Can you imagine if they lose?
Again, right? Because they just lost last week. And they can't lose again. And Hunter, Wednesday's Hunter is going to be tough. So anyway, Hunter in his car on the way to the Marquette game recorded a video for us about an hour
have time.
Let's take a rip at it.
Hold on. Give me one moment.
Do what you got to do.
I'll have you vamp a little bit.
I care more about the audio than I do about the video, if that means anything for you on your end.
You just go ahead and vamp a little bit, and I'll get it set up.
Vamp. Okay. Vamp. I don't know what that means, but I assume that means stall. Okay, yeah, I can stall for you. So Hunter, aside from this text, I have not talked to him at all. No correspondence. I have not asked him how he's doing. I had not asked him what the hell went wrong. I have not asked him, should Big Mike be fired? Should Bill Belichick be the new coach of the Cowboys? I have asked him nothing. So whatever we're about to say is the first time, outside of the text I just read you, that I'm hearing from producer Tiny Hands. And it's okay he's not here today. It's all right. I kind of wish he was, but I kind of wish he wasn't, because I don't need him raining on my parade. Today is a day of celebration. It is a day of peace and love and excitement and optimism for the future. But I would be, number one, I'd be an idiot if I didn't have Hunter involved in the show in some capacity today. I'd be an idiot, right? Like, I get paid to create content and talk about sports. If I didn't have Hunter, at least in some capacity on the show today, I'd be an idiot. Number two, I'd be a crappy friend if I didn't give him the platform. All right, Ryan, we're good?
I believe we are ready this time.
All right, let's take a listen. Here's Hunter from the passenger seat of his car.
Tiny hands, but I've got some big takeaways about this Cowboys-Packer game. I was hoping I would feel better 24 hours later, to be honest, but I really don't. It's honestly making me even more upset about this team. I mean, if we start top down, Mike McCarthy, your ass is fired by the end of the week. Okay. I mean, he cannot stay as the head coach of this team.
I agree.
Great, you can win 12 regular season.
I agree with that. I would agree. Mike McCarthy's got to go. Did you see Jerry Jones after the game at all?
Oh, I definitely heard the cuts. I didn't see I didn't see the video.
He looked, number one, completely defeated.
I saw they could not stop cutting to him during the game. It was incredible.
He looked awful. And then he calls it a complete embarrassment. Like, there's no way.
Said he was floored.
Yeah. And honestly, if I'm Jerry, I'm floored too.
Everyone was, yes.
Yeah, I guess I was floored as a Packers fan, right? Like, that's not at all what I expected. I like Mike McCarthy. I really like Mike McCarthy Way, the street in Green Bay. It's a beautiful street. Love the Super Bowl he won in Green Bay. I think he can be a great assistant coach somewhere. His head coaching tenure's done. Continue.
Games. Congratulations. Awesome. But you can't crap the bed in the playoffs like this every single year and expect to keep your job. You just can't. Dan Quinn was clearly interviewing and looking for other head coaching opportunities and wasn't putting in any time in this defensive game plan. And if he was putting all of his effort into that defensive game plan, his ass still needs to be fired because that was...
Pause. Oh, my God. All right. So he blames Dan Quinn's coaching carousel interviews last week as the reason Jordan Love tore up the defense.
He was clearly distracted. Yeah, he was too focused on his next job.
I honestly, I think he's wrong, but I love the take.
I think that's an incredible take.
I love the take. All right, continue.
Absolutely pathetic. The entire team was gutless. They had zero spine. They showed zero genuine heart or effort in that entire game. And it's been 30 years of this crap as a Cowboys fan. And I just want it to change. I don't care if they don't win a Super Bowl. I don't care if they don't even get to a Super Bowl. But at least don't look like the most pathetic pathetic, sorry excuse for a football team in the entire NFL.
Wow.
The Cowboys looked like the 7 seed on Sunday. The Packers played like a 2 seed. They played like a team that belonged. The Cowboys looked like they should be a top 10 draft pick team. That's how absolutely pathetic and sorry excuse of a team that showed up in Dallas.
Okay. I love the take on the 7 and 2 seed. Because he's completely right on that.
Oh, my God, yeah.
And by the third quarter, it sounded like a home game in AT&T Stadium.
Oh, you heard the Go Pack Goes.
Oh, yeah.
You definitely heard him.
Yeah, and you weren't hearing anything from Cowboys fans, which what are you going to say at that point, right? But
Fire Mike.
Fire Mike, right? I fire Dan Quinn, too, according to Hunter.
I mean,
too distracted.
Might have a case for it, honestly.
That's the best take of this so far, is Dan Quinn was too distracted, and he deserves to be S-canned because of that performance. He doesn't deserve a head coaching job nor the D coordinator job for the Cowboys. He needs to be gone. I love that. Packers were the 2 seed in that game. I agree with that. Hunter, continue.
And I'm so tired of it. I wish it would change, but I just know that it's not, and it breaks my heart.
Oh.
I hate it so much, and it just makes me hate the Packers even more, and I genuinely hope that the 49ers just absolutely beat the ever-living crap out of the Packers off of this game.
Pause.
Wow.
Okay, see, that's just sore loser stuff.
Yes, come on.
Okay, so but this does bring up the debate. If you lose to a team, do you want to see them go win the championship or get smoked?
I don't want to see them get smoked in the next round because then that makes me feel even worse about my team.
I 100% agree with what you just said.
I could agree with him. I would want to see the Packers lose, but I would want them to see them lose in a more heartbreaking fashion because I would want Packer fans to feel what I'm feeling.
Yeah, no, you're totally right. And the thing with Hunter is we know he's a Cowboys fan and we know he lives in Wisconsin, so he is not he is not the biggest fan of the Packers. So the way that went down yesterday, I bet he is like praising the Lord that he did not have to come to work today because it would be straight up verbal abuse toward Hunter all day today. But instead, we're just going to do it the pre-recorded Hunter. That's how we're going to attack this. So I interesting take, but yeah, it is what it is. All right, we got more.
Yep, I think we still have. I don't know how much is left, but I gotta imagine Hunter's got a lot more to say.
You're probably right. Let's go.
And I know that that's bitter, and I'm sorry, Strouf, and I'm sorry, Ryan, as your friend. I wish I didn't get to that point, but my anger had just boiled over so much at this Cowboys team that it's bleeding into the way that I'm approaching the rest of the playoff games. Amazing. And I'm sorry about that, but I'm just so pissed off at this entire franchise right now that I'm genuinely contemplating if after 30 years of being a fan, I need to give up on being a fan of this team.
What? No, you can't do that. You can't do that. Like, I understand being pissed off and sad and depressed. You can't do that. That's off limits. That's crazy.
You can't commit fan suicide. You can't kill your fandom. No. You have to stick with them.
No, and speaking of wild card suicide and fandom suicide, Emmanuel Wilson in the game in the first and second quarter, that's wild card suicide. I understand they won the game by a ton. Emmanuel Wilson doesn't belong on a football field.
Well, you have to spare Aaron Jones a little bit. You can't run him all the way into the ground.
Give me Patrick Taylor.
Maybe. I guess. I don't know.
Patrick Taylor, 3 carries, Emmanuel Wilson today. Anyway, that's just a total.
All right.
I have beef with Emmanuel Wilson. I don't know why.
Apparently.
I talked about him a ton on our ESPN Wisconsin sidecast yesterday. It was really bothering me that he was out on the field in the first and second quarters. Anyway, so I thought that I called it wild card suicide yesterday. So that when you said the word suicide, it made me think of that. All right, let's continue with Hunter. This is getting out there, though. I'm blown away.
Can't do it anymore, and I'm hoping that by Wednesday when I'm back on the podcast, I'm feeling better about this, but right now I really, really don't.
There it is. That's all.
Wow. I mean, look, I called him a doomsday fan. We just watched 2 minutes and 42 seconds of Hunter being a doomsday fan, and he was offended when I called him that.
I'll be honest, though. I don't think he's in the wrong to be a doomsday fan right now. After the way that game went, it's hard not to feel that way.
I agree, but to the point of, hey, man, I don't know if I could be a fan of this team anymore. Like that.
Hey, man.
Hunter's 30 years old. He's been a Cowboys fan his whole life. I understand they haven't been to an NFC Championship game since 1995, which, by the way, was 29 years ago. Third longest drought in the NFC, only beat by Washington and Detroit, which Detroit won. They are one game away from getting back there. I don't even know what to say to Hunter. That was phenomenal. That was everything I hoped it would be. He crushed that. That was exactly what I was looking for out of Hunter. And as doomsday as I anticipated he would be. That was absolute art. And I'm so glad we just got to experience that together for the first time, Ryan. That was special. And I appreciate everybody that's rocking with us, whether you're live on YouTube and Twitter and Facebook and everywhere else we're live, or if you're listening on the audio side of the podcast. We just witnessed history together, folks. I mean, that's what just went down there. That was unbelievable. I can't wait until he's back on Wednesday. We got a lot to dissect with producer Tiny Hands, Hunter Vaughn. All right, as we do each and every episode as we wrap up the show, you learn something new every day. I learned a lot this weekend. So let's dive in. So I mentioned earlier that the Green Bay Packers yesterday reminded me of the 2010 Super Bowl team, who was the last team into the playoffs in the NFC, rattled off 3 straight road wins and a Super Bowl win to win Super Bowl 45. And I mentioned some of the reasons that it reminds me. Obviously, putting up 48 on the road in a playoff game as the lowest seed left, reminiscent of when the Packers beat the top-seeded Falcons in 2010. Jordan Love being a young ascending superstar like Aaron Rodgers was. That was the year before he won his first MVP award. Those two have some stuff in common. Now, that was not Aaron Rodgers' first postseason. It was his second postseason. He lost that overtime thriller the year prior to Arizona. That was his first playoff game. And then he responded by winning the Super Bowl the next year. But it's a young ascending star who's taken the league by storm, right, at quarterback. It is a flashy, sexy, fun receiving core offensively. And yesterday, this fall, this is fair. For yesterday only, the defense looked completely dominant. And that was what made that 2010 run so special. Something else, though, that I saw in a graphic this weekend from NBC 15 here in Madison was that last week was the 6th largest snowfall in a 5-day span, and it was the largest since Wild Card Weekend of 2011, which was the year the Packers won the Super Bowl. So the snow we got last week is the most we've seen since the postseason in which the Packers, as the last team into the playoffs, went on to win the Super Bowl. Don't shake your head at me. I'm not grasping for straws here. That's a terrific stat.
You're grasping for snowballs is what you're grasping for. Come on.
That's fair. Come on. That's a great stat. That's great research by me.
A great stat.
It's a great stat. Largest snowfall since Wild Card Weekend of 2011 when the Packers won the Super Bowl. That's when they went on the road to Philly and beat them. Mike Vick.
I mean, that's up there with, like, the Lions stuff about, like, the moon being in, like, waxing gibbous phase on Thanksgiving.
But tell me it wasn't wrong. Tell me it wasn't wrong.
I did see something else that the moon was a waning gibbous, I want to say, for the first time since the last time the Lions played in the playoffs. They won that game, too. They won.
Wow. So the moon and the Lions have a lot in common. That is phenomenal.
And the Packers, it's the snow, of course. Why wouldn't it be?
So that's one part of this, but I would actually just like to discuss the snowfall now. I learned something Saturday. It was humiliating. I was completely humiliated on Saturday. So Saturday morning, Wisconsin now, the men's basketball team now ranked number 11 in the country, which just came out a little bit ago. I swore they were going to be a top 10 team this week. A little upset about that, but that's beside the point. I was heading to, I was trying to head to the Kohl Center to go cover that game, but I had to stop here first. I had to stop at the office. So I drive in from my apartment, I take some back roads, and then I end up on Williamson Street. Near our office, and then typically I take a right on Livingston Street to get to our parking garage, right behind the Sylvie here in Madison, if you're familiar with the area. And when I turned onto Livingston Street, I stopped moving. Stuck. They plowed the street, but it was all the snow was in the intersection. I didn't see that until it was too late. So I get stuck. I get out, I try to push it neutral. Obviously, that's not going to work. I start kicking the snow from all 4 tires. I'm not going to do a lot of damage with my foot. A nice lady stops by who's walking past. She's like, "Do you want me to push?" I was like, You can try, but I don't think it's worth your time. You might as well keep moving. I need to wait until somebody comes with a shovel. Finally, after 35 minutes of waiting in this intersection, I must say, I just need to be transparent. An incredibly handsome man pulls his car over, driving a Range Rover, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
I wasn't really paying attention. Beautiful, I assume, wife or girlfriend in the passenger seat. And then, it's like a beautiful family photo, Ryan. They had a golden retriever who was standing 2 front legs on the console in between the 2 seats. So it's like a family photo as they pull the car over, right? Dude hops out, super handsome, super nice dude.
Sounds like you were really paying attention, actually. Sounds like you were paying attention to every detail.
I was just like, I just read the story, and this is another reason why I was talking about the snowfall and the Packers. Jordan Love helped a young lady out of a snowbank. This guy was my Jordan Love. He pops out of his car with a shovel. He had a shovel in his car. Mini shovel, but it was a shovel. And I tried to grab it from him, and he's like, nah, bro, you've been sitting here long enough. I got you. He starts digging out all my wheels, right? So he's going to work around my tires, and ultimately it didn't quite work the first time. So he goes, all right, let me go a little bit harder at each of these wheels. Ooh. I mean, he got rid of all the snow around my vehicle. It was crazy, and he did it in like 0.5 seconds. And he goes, and I tried to, this part you'll like. I said to him, hey, man, there's a brewery right up the road. Once we get out of here, I'd be happy to buy you a beer.
Classy.
Offered him cash. But when I offered him the beer, he goes, I'd usually say yes, but it is 10 a.m. I go, oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Or 10:30 a.m., whatever it was, right? Yeah. But I knew at this point I wasn't going to make it to the Badgers game in time. So I knew I was calling it quits on that. So I was like, well, might as well go watch the game, have a beer with this nice stranger.
And his golden retriever.
And his golden retriever, and I assume his wife or girlfriend or fiance or whatever. And so I hop back in the car, and he goes, I'm going to push. If you start moving, don't stop. I was like, all right. I press the gas. He pushes. I'm out. I start moving. I just put my hand out the window, and I yell, thank you so much. Didn't get his name like an idiot. So to my Jordan Love, I say my sincerest thank you for saving my ass on Saturday. I will be purchasing a mini shovel to keep in my car going forward.
Smart.
I drive a Ford Focus. Like, if we have 17 inches of snowfall, 17.7 inches of snowfall like we just saw over the course of 5 days from this graphic from NBC 15, I need a shovel. And I understand this is the first time in 13 years we've had a snowfall like this in the stretch of 5 days. But I need to be prepared next go-around. I can't let that happen again. That was the most humiliating, embarrassing, like, awful moment in my life. Because it's like, who do you call for that? Right? Like, I could call a friend, but they're not going to be here for 20 minutes. Or
you call AAA.
Minutes.
Like, that's the only option, honestly.
And I don't subscribe to AAA anymore. I got out of that when I got a key fob after I got rid of the Saturn. I had AAA. You know this, right?
Man, you and cars.
So I had my Saturn Ion for years, and I locked my keys in my car twice in a year. So I got AAA, and then when I got the Ford Focus, I got rid of AAA because I know I won't lock my keys in my car anymore because I don't have to manually lock my car like I used to.
And now you got a shovel. Who needs AAA?
I don't have a shovel yet, but I'm going to get a shovel. Like that's on the shopping list this week. So anyway, all right. There we go. That's 50 straight up minutes of Packers reaction, plus a little side story in between. We're going to have plenty more reaction and preview coming up Wednesday, Friday. I'm excited about the guest list coming up this week. Not completely confirmed, but once we do, I will make sure to push it out on Twitter at @Alex_Strouf. Appreciate you hanging with us, whether it's live on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whether it's on the audio side. I got a bunch of texts from buddies this weekend that listen to the show. They're like, dude, I can't wait to hear what you have to say, which I don't know why you would listen to me. I'm like the most delusional roller coaster riding fan there is. I don't know jack squat. I don't pretend I do. Thank you, Ryan. But, man, do I have fun riding the wave. And boy, what a wave we are currently riding as the Packers beat the Dallas Cowboys 48-32, 48-16. And they are off to San Francisco to take on the number 1 seeded 49ers. It's a revenge game for so many levels for Matt LaFleur. It's a revenge game for so many levels for the Packers organization. It has me amped up for Saturday night. Waiting all day for Saturday night. I sound just like Carrie Underwood.
Oof.
I sound just like Carrie Underwood.
It sounded like me at karaoke.
All right, you're banned from the show for a while. You at karaoke was solid, though.
Nah, not solid.
Good appearance on Saturday night by Ryan at karaoke. What'd you sing again?
Mr. Brightside.
That's right.
I wouldn't say I sang it. I spoke it.
Yeah, you did for a while. That part bothered me, but nonetheless. Anyway. All right, that does it for us. Ryan, appreciate you filling in for producer Tiny Hands. Appreciate producer Tiny Hands sending in that brilliant video. We will be back with you Wednesday, 12:30 p.m. Central for the live stream and shortly thereafter on the podcast. Love you. Appreciate you. Go Pack Go. Can't wait to preview it all week long. It's Mr. Irrelevant. I'm Alex Strouf. We'll talk to you soon.